There is a deep divide inside the Democrat Party, and it all played out on Tuesday night. From the political depths, Joe Biden made a stunning comeback on Super Tuesday. Bernie Sanders is left wondering if this is 2016 all over again, and Michael Bloomberg won in American Samoa. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a great week. I hope last night was not too long for you. It was a very long night for me. We had national elections, we had local elections, and national ramifications from what went on Super Tuesday. And it just shows, when you look at those national races, when you look at what's going on in the Democrats, what momentum and a freaked out establishment will do. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders. Socialist Bernie Sanders went from front runner to fighting for his political life all in one day. I mean, take a look at this. Bernie Sanders was leading in everything: national polling, delegates, election wins, and it all turned around. And the way it led up to this is a fascinating political study. And I just want to go back and kind of recap what led to Tuesday, what led to what happened yesterday. First, we have Bernie Sanders, the socialist, the AOC wing of the party. He's leading. He's the national front runner by all measures. He got the most votes in Iowa. He won New Hampshire primary. He won in Nevada. Then it comes to South Carolina. Everybody expected Joe Biden to win. He put all his money there. He knew that was his firewall. That's what would hopefully save his campaign. He had an endorsement from Jim Clyburn, one of the leading Democrats in South Carolina. And Biden came through big with the black community, and he won big in that election. And what that showed, what that must have showed the establishment, was that the time is now. We have to stop Bernie. We're going into Super Tuesday. And then all sorts of strange things started lining up. Saturday night, the night of the South Carolina primary, you have Tom Steyer, billionaire, drop out of the race. The next day, on Sunday, Mayor Pete Buttigieg drops out of the race. And this was kind of like, that took people by surprise, because you think you're gearing up for Super Tuesday and you're going to drop out right before then. But this was the establishment wheels in motion. Then on Monday, Amy Klobuchar drops out of the race too. Everybody getting behind Joe Biden. All of those folks, Mayor Pete, Amy Klobuchar, they flew to Dallas for a rally with Joe Biden and endorsed him. And here is Pete Buttigieg. Here's part of what he had to say.
The whole idea was about rallying the country together to defeat Donald Trump and to win the era for the values that we share. And that was always a goal that was much bigger than me becoming president. And it is in the name of that very same goal that I'm delighted to endorse and support Joe Biden for president.
So that was Mayor Pete. And then you have Senator Klobuchar, who again was trying to carry that establishment wing of the party through these Democrat primaries. Didn't gain any traction. We saw that person, the leader of the establishment side, was Joe Biden. So she fell in line. And later at the rally on Monday night, here's what she said.
I believe this now, standing with the vice president. If you feel tired of the noise and the nonsense in our politics, and if you are tired of the extremes, you have a home with me. And I think you know you have a home with Joe Biden.
So at that rally, it was, if you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, that rally was the last thing you wanted to watch, because Joe Biden even resurrected Robert Francis O'Rourke. He made an appearance. Biden said that he was going to put him in charge of taking our guns away, which was just the weirdest thing. But that was the kind of the rally. That's what was going on Monday, leading up to Super Tuesday. So you had to wonder, could all of this have an effect one day before all of these elections? 14 elections across the country. Would it make a difference? And that leads into the actual results. And Joe Biden won, and he won in a big way. It was just stunning to see how the establishment kicked in and realized that we don't want socialism. And yes, Biden won in states that he should have won, similar to South Carolina, like in Alabama. But across the board, it was just a great night for Joe Biden. And here's a report from the Daily Caller. Former Vice President Joe Biden emerged victorious on Super Tuesday by winning key states in the South and blocking Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders from claiming massive victories in California and Texas. During the second flurry of results, Biden was projected to win Texas, Arkansas, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. Those 6 wins followed clear victories in Alabama, North Carolina, and Virginia. So just one point of clarification where it said he's avoided a massive loss in California, Joe Biden did. It was still pretty bad. In Texas, another big state, Biden won, but it was close. So he only got 56 delegates to Bernie Sanders' 50. On the other side, in California, Sanders' win propelled him to 72 delegates in California to only 21 for Joe Biden. So that was a pretty massive victory in California. And here's more from the Daily Caller. With the exception of Minnesota and Oklahoma, all of Biden's wins came in states won by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. His Minnesota win comes just one day after Democratic Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar dropped out of the presidential primary and endorsed him. Exit polls showed Biden benefiting in one key drill down: voters who had decided on their pick in just the past few days. Sanders has won only 4 states: California, Colorado, Utah, and Vermont. His campaign had publicly signaled in recent weeks that they would happily let Biden have an East Coast states as long as they can maintain large victories in California and Texas. So the establishment woke up, they fired back, and now it's Joe Biden who actually leads in the delegate count, 397 to 356. No one else is close. It's a race between those two, and it is really close. But again, just a week ago, just a few days ago, Bernie Sanders was the Vegas pick. He was the odds-on favorite. He was the front runner. And now Joe Biden is leading in delegates, and he's coming off a huge Super Tuesday. And here's what he said at his victory last night.
They don't call Super Tuesday for nothing. By the way, this is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, this is the... Oh, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me. Folks, it's still early, but things are looking awful good.
All right, that is just so strange. Joe Biden is so strange. I was waiting for him in that clip to call one of them a lying dog-faced pony soldier. That's what I was waiting for. And then when Pete Buttigieg endorsed him, I didn't show you the end of that clip. He starts rubbing all over Pete's shoulders, just like he likes to do. It was very strange. But what's the fallout? What are some of the other tidbits, the other takeaways from last night? Well, 2 in particular I want to talk about, and that's Elizabeth Warren and Michael Bloomberg, because Elizabeth Warren just keeps going. She is another one of the far left candidates, but they've all coalesced around Bernie Sanders, yet she hasn't gotten the message yet. Well, maybe yesterday you'd think would send a message, but maybe not, because in Massachusetts, in her home state, she finished third. She finished third place in her own state. And then last night, with all of that reaction, she sent out a fundraising email to her supporters because there's 6 more states coming up really soon. And she wanted to fundraise to, quote, keep up the momentum. Keep up the momentum. That's what she's telling folks. And then there's Michael Bloomberg. This guy has spent $500 million already, and he has nothing to show for it except winning yesterday in American Samoa. That was all of his millions and millions and millions in this campaign, and that's what he comes away with. And here's a report from the Washington Examiner. 2020 Democrat Michael Bloomberg is moving forward with his presidential campaign despite underperforming, that's a good word, in early Super Tuesday results. I came here because winning in November starts with Florida, the former New York City mayor told a raucous crowd in West Palm Beach, Florida, the same night voters in 14 states and American Samoa cast their ballots in the party's primary. We will beat Donald Trump here in Florida and swing states across the country. Seriously? Is this guy kidding? He got blown out, nationwide blown out, and he's still at it. And here's more. Bloomberg largely avoided talking about the early results from Super Tuesday states and insisted the numbers would show him going from 1% in the polls into a contender for the presidency. The billionaire spent $5.6 million in Virginia, only to get blown out by Joe Biden, who only spent $173,000 in the state. The bright spot in his night, however, was his win in American Samoa caucuses, where he gained at least 4 delegates. Bloomberg told reporters ahead of Super Tuesday that he had no expectations and planned to stay in the race, pointing to a contested convention as a possible path to the White House. I have no intention of dropping out, he said. We're in it to win it. I don't understand why you would not ask other candidates that. So, of course, with all of this going on, Elizabeth Warren, asking supporters to keep up the momentum, Bloomberg getting blown out. Of course, Donald Trump was going to have fun with this. He took to Twitter, and his prime target was Bloomberg, and here's what he said. The biggest loser tonight by far is Mini Mike Bloomberg. His political consultants took him for a ride. $700 million washed down the drain, and he got nothing for it but the nickname Mini Mike and the complete destruction of his reputation. Way to go, Mike. So President Trump didn't stop there. He went on to his next favorite, which is Elizabeth Warren. And here's what he tweeted there. He said, Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, the other Mini Mike, was the loser of the night. She didn't even come close to winning her home state of Massachusetts. Well, now she can sit back with her husband and have a nice cold beer. And that's in reference to her launch of her presidential campaign when she tried to be cool by going on Instagram Live and just popping a beer in her kitchen, saying, oh, by the way, I'm in a run for president. So finally, I want to wrap up with some analysis on what this all means. What does this mean for the Democrat Party when we see Bernie Sanders as the front runner, and then we see what happened with Joe Biden last night? And what it shows is the divide, as I alluded to in the intro, the deep divide within the Democrats, the Democrat Party, and it shows wings battling. They can coalesce around Joe Biden, but it doesn't hide the inner turmoil that's within the Democrats. On the national scene, right now you have it embodied as Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden, but it is a whole lot more. It is the far left versus the establishment. It is the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars joining Bernie, and you have the Nancy Pelosi's and Chuck Schumer's and Joe Biden's on the other side. And because of all that chaos, it really does not matter who ends up being the nominee. If it's the Bernie Sanders wing, yeah, he's going to have all these people so enthusiastic and rallies that are just crazy and everything. But he's pushing a socialist message in America. When the economy is doing great, when unemployment is low, when people are working and saving, this is what he has to run against on a socialist agenda. It is a loser agenda. On the flip side, because they see the establishment rallying around Joe Biden, if the establishment comes through, then you have a huge section of this far left, radical part of the party who's very vocal, very active. They are going to think that the man just stuck it to him again. Okay, if Joe Biden is the nominee, he's a milquetoast candidate, part of the establishment, has no winning message against President Trump other than, I'm not President Trump, I'm a nicer guy. And thousands and thousands and thousands of Bernie supporters, again, are going to think the establishment stuck it to him. They're not going to turn out. They're not going to be enthusiastic. They're not going to rally for Biden. And you can see them realistically sitting at home saying, what's the point? What's the use? The establishment stuck it to our guy, Bernie Sanders, again, and we're not going to participate. That is the dilemma that the Democrats face. Either radical, enthusiastic socialism or establishment that doesn't rally or excite anybody. That's what they're facing right now. Either one is a winning case for Donald Trump in his reelection bid come November. And we'll be watching it. We'll be seeing what's going on. But folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, just a little reminder before you go, and no, this does not count against my 13 minutes. Please hit the subscribe button below and tell your friends. And if you happen to miss our last show, you can check it out right here. And also for great conservative news and commentary, please check out GOPUSA.com. All right, folks, we'll see you on the next show. Have a great day.